Hello, my friends. Happy Friday. Welcome to Friday Live in the Should I Stay or Should I Go relationship support group for women who want to feel empowered in love and in life. So happy to be with you today. I have a really juicy topic for you today. We are talking about 3 keys to create more intimacy and connection in your relationship. So, if you can relate to that, type in the comments. If you're here, say hello and let me know if this has been an issue for you. And if it is, you are definitely not alone. That is probably the number one complaint. And I know it was when I was married at the time in my relationship, is just that that whole sense of not feeling the emotional intimacy and the connection with our partners. And I just hear that pretty much from everybody, that's an issue. And so why is that? We have good reasons for that. And there's a lot of reasons why we end up in these relationships feeling just really disconnected from each other. And, we're really just not taught how to create healthy, lasting, intimate relationships. So there's a lot of good reasons why that happens. And, today I'm hoping to give you some keys to just start to help you think about how we can create more connection and intimacy in our relationships if that's what you want to do. So, what does it take? What does it take? What is intimacy? What does it take to really create intimacy and connection in your relationships? And so, if you think about it, what is intimacy? I talked about this the other day. Definition for intimacy is another way to put it, which I really liked, is into me I see. Intimacy, first of all, we have to be able to show up and be willing to be real and be vulnerable and just share our heart with somebody. And I know in my marriage, it did not become, I just, eventually after trying to communicate and having a lot of disconnection and being able to communicate, that I just started to withdraw after a while. I was just like, all right, forget it. Every time I try and share with you how I'm feeling about, like this situation or this problem, he would either end up getting defensive, and this is really really common pattern too, is then like the partner, especially if it's a male partner, then automatically their defenses go up and they have to feel like they have to defend themselves. So then they would end up turning it around. He would end up turning around and kind of pointing the finger back at me, and I just did not feel like it was a safe place for me to share how I really felt. And so I would withdraw, and then, there it goes. There is a pattern, and that's a pretty common pattern. So, um, so 3 keys to create more intimacy and connection. And, a lot of it has to do with communication, and we are going to get a lot more into that. I'm excited to share with you guys next week the 5 keys to discover if you can make your relationship work. That's happening. I'll be in here live all next week. And we're going to take a deep dive into really looking at the whole question about the whole relationship. What's not working? Can you fix it? What do you really want? What keeps us stuck? We're going to get more into communication and how to create more constructive communication with our partners, interrupt some of those patterns that I'm talking about right now. And how do you really know if it's time to go? So I promise you, if you are struggling right now with that question of whether to stay or go, you definitely want to jump on that training next week. So click the link. There's a link at the top of the page in the announcements to register for that. We're going to be live on Zoom together 12 to 12:45 Eastern all next week. So I'm hoping you're really going to join me, and it's going to be very impactful training next week. But for today, 3 keys to create more intimacy and connection. Key number one. You ready for number one? Presence. What does that mean? Presence is how we're showing up for ourselves, first of all. And I know I talk about this a lot, is that it just really starts with us being resourced from within ourselves. And I know this is really the foundation of a healthy relationship. And this is what I learned from my whole experience in my marriage to my husband, who at the time was struggling with alcoholism and depression, and just not realizing for myself how much I was depending on him for my sense of security and to, just my sort of self-esteem. And so, we sort of have to bring it back to, it all starts with our relationship with ourselves. So if we're going to show up in presence and be vulnerable and be willing to share, and if we want that to come from a healthy dynamic, we can't come to it from a place of need and needing him to be a certain way in order for us to be okay. We can't have our well-being be dependent on this other person and how they're showing up, because you know what, everybody's just doing the best they can, honestly. We all are just doing the best we can to try and feel good and be happy. And it's just, again, I know I say this all the time, it's nobody else's job to make you feel happy all the time. Yes, we do want a loving, supportive relationship that can make us feel good, but that can't be our source for that. So I hope that makes sense. Type in, you guys, if you're watching the replay, the recording on this, if you can relate to this at all, say hello and just, let me know if this is landing with you. So that's number one. And I know that's the foundational work that I do in the coaching program that I work with women individually, is first of all, just unraveling those patterns, if there's any unhealthy patterns that are running within us, so that we can feel just totally in love with ourselves and happy and not needing. We can show up. Presence is really about being able to show up in the relationship, not from a place of what do I need to get from you in order to be happy, but I'm here, I'm whole, I know how to feel secure in myself and be happy, and I'm here to see what can I bring, what can I give. And a willingness to be able to be vulnerable and share. And like I said, maybe it's, depending on your situation, maybe it's not really safe to do that. You have to, there's definitely degrees of where you're at in terms of how to create this connection. But that is the first key, is how we're showing up. And it begins with how you're showing up for yourself. Right? Getting a strong foundation. And then the next key is, like I said, about sharing, having that willingness to start to be vulnerable and reveal how we're feeling and our hopes and our dreams and what we want. And again, if you are in a situation where you've been really disconnected for a long time, that might not be a really receptive, there might not be a really receptive, safe container for you to be able to do that yet. And so the third key is connection. How do we create more connection? And that is really about a willingness to sort of build an awareness, to reach out to that other person and build an awareness of what's going on in their lives, and trying to create more connection about maybe just starting to take an interest in what your partner is interested in, and just showing some interest. I know I talk about this a lot, but it's really powerful when you can start to show up in this different way, from a place of wholeness in yourself and a place of what can I give, showing up with a willingness to be interested in your partner and what they're doing. It's a very powerful way to shift a whole relationship dynamic. So it is possible. It's definitely possible to create more connection. And it's usually a matter of communication, and it's usually a matter of where we're coming from, just our own patterns, like I said, of what's going on within us. So when you can show up, feeling good about and whole within who you are, not needing him to be different or change in any way, take a genuine interest in what's going on, start to focus on what you can appreciate about him. And, this may not apply to you. Maybe you're at a point where you really kind of, at the other end of the scale where you're feeling like you don't really want to try that much to improve it. But if if the good news is that if you do want to try and see if you can improve your relationship, and most of the women that I work with, that is, before you make a decision to leave, you really want to know for sure if it was possible to heal it and make it feel good again. And so, again, goes back to your relationship with yourself, and then, just getting your focus off what's not working, coming to it from a place of what can I give, what can I bring, versus what do I need you to do differently to change in order for me to love you and be happy, coming to a place from unconditional love. And I know that's a big shift, and maybe that sounds good to you right now, and maybe it doesn't. But I definitely encourage you to jump on next week with me for the 5 keys to discover if you can make your relationship work, because we're going to take a really deep dive into looking at what, how do you do that, and what does that really involve. But just know that if there's still some fondness between you, if there's still some desire for you to improve your relationship, it is possible to make really powerful shifts. You can take the lead in creating this connection and intimacy, but it's about sort of, first of all, diffusing the patterns that are running within you, and then unwinding the patterns of interaction that are happening. And yeah, I've seen situations where a woman is ready to sit down and have a conversation with the man about, I want the divorce, and it's over. And this is over conversation ended up turning into, it's not over. So, by showing up in this different way and sharing how you feel, there's so many reasons why that's hard, and especially for men. And we're going to really talk about that next week in terms of communication and why that's so hard. But I love you guys. I hope that this was helpful for you today. Just knowing that it is possible for you to take the lead and learn how to create more intimacy and connection in your relationship. And it starts with you getting into a good place with you. Yeah, so I hope that was helpful. Type in the comments, let me know. And I'm really hoping to see you next week for the 5 keys to discover if you can make your relationship work. It's really going to shift things in a big way for you. And just register anyway. If you can't make it live, the recordings will be available in the group during the course of the training. But I'd love it if you can show up live on Zoom with me, because it'll give us a chance to actually see each other and interact, and I can, really speak to where you're at and what your concerns are. And it's hard sometimes for me to know, sitting on this end, because everybody's in kind of a different situation, how to best serve you. But yeah, so show up live with me if you can. I'd love to see you and connect with you. But if not, don't worry. We'll have the recordings up for the week. And I promise you, after next week, if you are struggling with that question, you're going to just be able to relax and experience a lot more peace. And you'll understand there's a process that you need to go through to be able to make that decision. So you're going to have a real framework, a real process that you're going to understand what it takes to be able to make that decision, so that you're just not right now sitting on the fence in a lot of pain of indecision and feeling like, I'm not happy, and I don't, I'm not ready to leave. I'm too scared. There's a lot of reasons why we stay stuck. We're going to talk about that. And I don't know if it's possible to improve it or not. And I'm just in this miserable, lonely place. And I don't know if I want to continue with this relationship or not. So, yeah, this is going to just tell you the 5 keys to discover if you can make it work, and help you get more clear about what direction you want to go in. And at the very least, it's just going to help you get off that painful place of being on the fence and understand the process that you need to go through to be able to come to a decision like that. So, all right, y'all, have a great rest of your day. Remember to breathe. Put your hands on your heart right now. Just know wherever you are right now, however you're feeling, it's okay. Just anytime you want to feel more calm, you put your hands on your heart and just breathe. Affirm to yourself, I am safe. Everything's okay. I'm figuring it out. And I'm going to click that link and jump on the training with Risa next week to learn the 5 keys to discover if I can make my relationship work. I'm going to open to receive some more peace and clarity in my life. Take advantage of this training, you guys. All right. I love you. I hope to see you. Please type in. Let me know if you have questions, comments, things to share. Let me know if this was helpful for you today. All right. Lots of love. Mwah. Have a great rest of your day. Bye for now.